Awesome. All right. So, yeah, thank you all for showing up. And the title of this call, I originally called it Consciously Creating Synchronicities. And then I expanded upon it to the system of you, and we'll go into details on that. And yeah, so I feel like you guys all know me fairly well. So I'm going to more just kind of start moving into things. And so some of you are completely new to my calls, so thank you. Some of you are more familiar with my calls, and this is the latest evolution that's integrating and synthesizing all of my teachings and practices together. So going in a new direction. And what is that new direction? It's really highlighting that this is all skill based. And like what I found is when people come and they start learning conscious creation and manifestation, all this stuff, getting in alignment, following their inner guidance, it's like, kind of like this thing of like, oh, I learned it and now it should just work for me forever. And it's not like a college degree where you just get it and you have it for the rest of your life. It's really the skill that you develop and practice persistently, consistently, over time, over and over again. And over 20 years, 20, close to 25 years of playing with these skills, I've come to acknowledge there's a few that make a really, really, really big difference. And so if you followed my work before, you might be familiar with like what I call the triad solution, everything, alignment, vibration, inner guidance, or maybe the free to be me inner journey, which is like melting away the resistance so you can be yourself, so you can live that life in like flow state. Or I got all of these different cool tools along the way. So this is going to be taking it to another level. And that's what the system of you is all about. So I'm going to be breaking that down into four pillars. We'll kind of touch on all those. Then I'm going to check in with you guys for what's most relevant for you. And then what's most relevant for you guys who are on the live call, we're going to focus in on that direction even more because like the system can be really, really big. So I really want to make it practical and useful for you guys who are here on the call. And if you're watching the replay or seeing it where you can leave a comment, send me an email, send me a DM. Um, Love to have you on the next call or just hear your input of what's most helpful as we evolve the journey here. Um, okay, so then the next part of that I want to emphasize is that since it's skill based and since it's like reoccurring skills, my plan with this is to have ongoing calls. So to have like 6 weeks so you can develop the habits of these skills. So for the next 6 weeks, we'll be going deeper dive into these. If you're interested in that, you can register or even drop something in the chat saying, like me or something, and I will keep in touch with you guys. Um, okay, so the system of use. Like, what's this all about? So it's the idea of being so people want to like create the life they desire and dream of, and what I found is really about mastering the art of conscious creation. So living the life we desire and dream of is a byproduct of who we are. So we move from unconscious unconscious incompetence to conscious competence to conscious unconscious excellence. There we go. And so the idea is we go in from like skills that we have no idea about. So like, okay, there's something to practice. To yeah, let's consciously practice it. To now it becomes this automated thing that happens, kind of like tying your shoes. Remember the first time I was trying to tie my shoes? It was hard. I was like crying and snotting. I don't know, I could do it. Now I could just do it with my eyes closed. So the idea is that all these skills can progress in this way. Okay, so basically, if you want your life to be more preferable, if you want to have more love in your life, if you want to do things you love with who you love in a way you love, if you want to experience your passionate purpose in a way that's prosperous and powers you up, these are the kinds of things you can create by leveraging these skills. You can have more flow in your life. You can live out your calling. You can create whatever you intend. And that's one of the things to really highlight when we really come from a place of alignment and connecting into our miraculous, unique essence, personality, that's when the things we create are an extension of that. And when we create from this place of empowerment, then the things we create in our life, the things we flood into our subconscious, then lead to experiences we actually want to have. Because I know I've done it, and maybe you guys have too, where it's like I'm working on manifesting something, and then when it shows up, it's not really what I wanted. And or maybe I put in all this time and energy into something and start living it out, and I realized this was actually someone else's dreams. It wasn't quite my own. So to work around this and get to the point where we're aligned and creating what we actually desire is one of the keys. So, do you guys relate to this? Is this something you want to have more of in your life? Give me like a nod or something. Yeah, cool. And yeah, awesome. And if you have your camera off and you're driving, that's totally fine. And you guys could just drop things in the chat, like a letter Y for a yes or something as well. Okay, so the four main pillars, we're going to just kind of briefly go over them, and then I'll go deeper based on what's relevant. And also, we're going to move into like a Q&A, facilitation of transformation, hot seat style experience after this. So, okay, so the four main pillars, and sometimes I've described it as five and all these other ones, but I've simplified it to four main pillars at this point. One of them is the foundation, and the foundation is to feel inner harmony in your life. It's to feel connected, clear, aligned between your head, heart, and gut. It's so you're at that space of inner peace and there's flow in your life. And so if you guys want to learn more about the foundation, you can nod or drop like an F in the chat. um, so you guys want to have more, would that be helpful for you to learn more about the foundation? Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe. May not be the thing you guys want to learn the most about, which I am totally fine with. Okay, so, and then there's also the idea of baseline boosting within that, which is to make it a consistent, reoccurring experience. Okay, I got one. I got a Y in there. All right. Yes, thank you for dropping it in the chat. Okay, so now the next part of it is navigation. And this is the idea of knowing what to do and when to do it. It's the idea of asking yourself useful questions so you get useful answers. It's the idea of when you get information to know if it's something that you can follow, to discern the difference between the higher self, the inner guidance, and just the noise and information from other people. It's also about trusting it, which I find is the key crux within that system is when you are getting inspired information, how do you know it's actually for you? And then how do you get in that place of really trusting it instead of doubting it? And then it moves into taking action, and that leads into the loop of the action component, which is essential for having physical reality, material, tangible experiences. So if you guys want to know more about navigation, following and trusting in your inner guidance, give me a nod or drop a Y in the chat. Where are you guys on that one? Navigation. Yeah, I got a vote for that. Excellent. Yeah, we got 2 votes for that. Okay, so I'll definitely be something. Okay, that's got the most. That's got the most so far. Okay, so now you're following along. You're aligned. You're connected. You're inspired. You're getting the guidance. You're moving along with it. So the next thing that happens is as we start taking action toward the experiences we desire and dream of, the experiences we say we prefer, the next thing that happens is we start bumping into resistance because it's like the reason why you're not living the life you desire and dream of already is there's something that's coming up. Maybe it's fears, limiting beliefs, energy wounds, conflicting personality parts, split energy, whatever it is, there's a reason why you're not living that life right now. So whatever those reasons are, they start appearing in our life to, in a sense, confront them, to be like, hey, is this really what I prefer to experience or not? And if it is, and that resistance is there, maybe you were conditioned to act on a life that you don't really prefer. Maybe there is that thing that happened when you were a kid, and now you act this other way when you really want to be that way. So there's all this stuff that comes up, and I just simply refer to them as inner obstacles. And so the idea then is transmuting the inner obstacles. You can think of kind of like Rumpelstiltskin, turning the straw into gold. It's turning the shadows into your gifts. It's turning your limitations into your assets. It's turning those blockages into the fuel that power the engine that propel us forward and allow us to keep moving along with our guidance. And so there's a lot of different ways to transmute things. And over the years, I found there's a few that work really, really, really well. And those are the ones I like to highlight. And that in itself could be a whole call, a whole 6-week immersion of its own. So a lot of times when I start doing the Q&A with people, whatever their resistance is that comes up, I'll show you guys ways to do that. I'll break it down with you. I'll show you the skills to help you have the breakthroughs. So if transmutation is something you want to go deep on, drop a yes in the chat. or nod or both? What do we got? All right. Yeah, okay, we got a yes there as well. Okay, so far it looks like to me transmute or oh, there's more. Okay. Inner guidance might still be the winner. Navigation. Okay, and then fourth, conscious creation. And so this is the idea of creating the life we desire and dream of, which our thoughts, our focus, our emotions, these are directly influencing what we experience, what we bring into our reality, what we're feeding into our subconscious. Our subconscious, whatever we feed into it, naturally propels us toward it. So whatever we think about, we become, whatever we focus on grows. The way we feel is how we feel about it when it's magnetized back into our life. The feelings are the magnet that's bringing the experiences into our life that feel similar to that. So when we're able to consistently participate in a state of being, and a state of being is essentially your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your actions. So the state of being is kind of the core frequency that leads into those things. And so when we have a consistent state of being, when we have a consistent emotional state, we magnetize and create experiences that are a match to that in our life. So there's a lot of great ways of going about it. I made this 5-part system I call creating mind-blowing experiences, which is about like how to connect into that, how to bring that into your life, how to shorten the timeline so you collapse the timeline so the experiences, the synchronicities, the serendipities, the opportunities show up sooner and they're relevant to the experiences we want to have, and how to be the personality, how to embody the energy so we live it out in our life. So if you guys want to explore conscious creation, once again, it's a big topic. Uh, Drop something in the chat, give me a nod, and it's something we can explore on this call as well. Yes to conscious creation. Yes. Yes. Okay, awesome. Andrea, you want it all. I see this. All right, 100%. Okay, yeah. So it looks like we'll probably put more emphasis on navigation and conscious creation. Okay, and then the next part, going back to the consciously creating synchronicity. So how that fits into this is when we're dialed in and moving toward the life we desire and dream of, the idea is to create the synchronicities that accelerate that. So, it's not just synchronicity is like, oh yeah, the angel numbers showed up. That's fun. All the license plates look the same. Yeah, it's having that person show up in your life who has the resources, the information, the opportunity that is the match to the thing you wanted, where you go, oh, this was created for me. This was created by me. This opportunity is exactly the thing I've been dreaming about for the last days, weeks, months, years. So that's really what it's about. It's about opening up to allowing them in and to receiving them and taking them in. So we are experiencing the life that we desire and dream of as the natural byproduct of who we are by being in these states. And so the idea with that is, generally speaking, it unfolds over time. And what I mean by that is if you start tuning into the feelings of the life you prefer, yeah, within seconds, minutes, you'll start feeling different. And the feelings is literally a manifestation of chemistry that's literally changing and marinating in your body. So, in a sense, that's the first manifestation. And as our emotions change, our thoughts automatically change to reflect the emotional change. And our thoughts is, things we imagine, just general mental dialogue, as well as the memories that we have access to. They all change to reflect the state of being that we're in. Okay, so that's another one that's quick manifestations. Then, as we think ideas, we start reinforcing beliefs and it starts turning into actions. It starts turning into plans. Plans is kind of like a bunch of thoughts and ideas that string together over time. And once it's a string of ideas over time, this plan now becomes something we can take action on. And what we feed into our subconscious starts showing up here. So if you're pumping ideas into your subconscious for like 2 weeks, they'll start showing up as ideas that you want to do. And so that's the next manifestation. And so now, say you keep it going for 2 weeks, you'll start noticing clear evidence of a new emotional baseline where the feelings we've been connecting into, the thoughts we've been feeding into our subconscious start becoming normal. They start showing up on their own. So if you take that up to around 6 weeks, I like choose 6 weeks, 40 days for a habit. Yeah, the science varies on that a lot. 6 weeks is significant, though. I found with my clients between 2 and 6 weeks, it's consistent that people are now experiencing the outward expression of the synchronicities in their life that reflect the state of beings and ideas that they've been tuning into. And so if you keep that going, where you're starting to be like, okay, well, this is pretty amazing. I am seeing evidence of this thought pattern. Now, around 2 to 3 months, that's when there's a strong momentum. And that's when there's definitely the synchronicities, the serendipities. And by serendipity, I mean the person, the thing that's showing up, the special timing where you're like, well, how could this have even happened? It defies probability. And here it is. It matches my thoughts. And so around 2 to 3 months, that becomes really consistent, becomes really tangible, becomes really outward. And then around 4 or 5 months, it's usually the point where it's like, okay, this is now starting to show up everywhere. This is where it starts turning into larger scale events where now everyone at the event has that similar idea. And this organization's coming together. And where did they come from? How do they know exactly what I wanted? So it's being magnetized in that way. And then around the 6 to 7 month mark, I call that the tipping point. And that's the idea where it becomes easier to experience the life that you're tuning into now than the previous life. It's where it now tilts over, where the momentum is flowing in a new way. And one of the things that highlight with that is that this applies to any state of being, any thought, any focus, any emotion that you're consistently participating in. So some people who are like couch surfers and they're tuning into their favorite shows, and that's what they get in their life. If you're like a driven, devoted entrepreneur and you're going for your dream life passion project, then that's what starts flooding into your life. So it's being mindful of what we're feeding into ourselves. And when we align with our unique essence, when we tune and feed our subconscious the things we desire, that's when it becomes that over and over and over again. And so that's what we feed in. And that's how the whole system comes together. Those are the 4 pillars. And then that's the idea of mastery, right? It's not just practicing these skills once, it's devoting our life to them. It's being dedicated, it's participating over and over and over and over again, because this is our passion. This is our calling. This is what we're driven to do. So we can now live it out. So we can now extend into it. So we can now live it in our life. So, how do you guys feel about that? Any questions, comments? Was this helpful so far? Drop a yes or nod or a Y. If you want to drop any sort of a statement about what was most helpful about all of this, I'll give you guys a moment to drop something in the chat. Or even easier than that, if you guys just want to unmute and say like a sentence or two, that would work too. Or if no one wants to talk, that's fine.
No, this all seems helpful. I guess I've noticed this come fruition in my own life. Whatever I'm putting in, kind of whatever I'm like digesting on, whether it be like food or like actual like information is kind of what's shaping my reality. So
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for chiming in and sharing. And yeah, exactly, right? So like whatever you're feeding in, now that's what loads into the subconscious. What gets into the subconscious is now what we get naturally propelled toward. And most people, they're living out their life based on the default of what they were raised, just as like an automatic, this is what it is. And so now the idea is to consciously, intentionally inject and infuse what we prefer into our life so we can live it out. Synchronicities and serendipities are the best. Yeah, absolutely. I got 100% in there as well. Awesome. Okay, so anyone else commenting anything, or do you guys want to move in toward the Q&A portion? Just like nods or whatever works for me. Yeah, we got some nods. We got some nods. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. So okay, so for this portion, what I feel like we'll do, since I got some yeses on everything, we'll kind of still go through the pillars. Or I'll just let you guys jump in whatever order. That might actually work better. So if you guys want to use the Zoom hand up thing, you're welcome to. I understand that someone's driving and that's probably not the easiest thing to do. So if you guys aren't using the Zoom hand up thing, and then whoever wants to jump in, I will give you guys an opportunity now. And if two of you guys jump in at the same time, I'll just intuitively pick one. So who wants to step in to have me help you acknowledge the situation of your life, the limitation that's coming up, the skill to have the breakthrough, the skill to practice to continue having the breakthrough, and maybe even facilitate some transformation on it and teach the correlated lesson that connects to that. So whoever wants that, now's your chance to either unmute and jump in or use the Zoom hand thing.
I'll go.
Yeah, okay. Blaine, you jumped in first. Let's go for it. And then I saw Heather's hand next. Yeah, so Blaine, what's up? How can I help you? What is the meaningful thing you'd love to experience or what's coming up for you?
I guess trying to figure out which path to go down. So I've been with the same job for like the last 12 years. I'm looking at getting out. I work for the federal government, looking at potentially getting out of that and starting up as a yoga teacher full time, and then also doing like some handyman stuff here and there. I know I'd be taking like a massive pay cut, but I feel like I'd be pursuing something that makes me happier. Because while I'm helping people with my current position, I feel like the hands-on experience of like helping someone face to face would be more enjoyable than sitting behind a desk all the time. And
Yeah.
been trying to, I guess I've been working towards it for like the last year, like paying off like debt and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about any like financial issues, and then living a lot more modestly. Um, but yes, I guess just struggling to make that leap, because I feel like I could also still do everything that I want. I could still maintain my federal job. I could still teach yoga. I could still do all the little handyman stuff here and there, but it's just all on how I like organize my time. So I don't know if that's the right idea or if I'm like overthinking it, I guess, and just
Yeah.
cutting the cord with it.
Yeah. So like let's bring this back and simplify. So first, let me
Okay.
get clarification from you. What do you feel would be most helpful for you in this moment? Like clarity or like what?
Clarity.
Okay, so let's start with the idea of the foundation, and in the foundation, there's the skill of alignment. And this is something you could easily do when you're driving. So the first thing I recommend is bringing your awareness to your breath and begin conscious breathing. And by conscious breathing, I mean being consciously aware that you're already breathing and you have to breathe for the rest of your life. So as you bring awareness to your breath, notice the breath. And as we do this, notice how the breath automatically starts slowing down, starts becoming softer. It just automatically restructures itself. Are you experiencing this?
Yes.
Okay. So notice as you shift your awareness to your breath, and this you start shifting into alignment. So from my perspective, alignment is head, heart, gut, spirit, inner harmony. So as you're in alignment and you're feeling that by consciously breathing, you're brought to the present moment. Do you start feeling ease and relief inside or some other feeling?
Yes.
Okay. So
Ease and relief.
yeah, awesome. So notice as you feel more ease and relief, do you also notice more space between your thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. So, have you had the experience of like overthinking and analyzing, and then the answer doesn't really come through till you stop doing that and start doing something else where there is space between your thoughts?
100%.
Yeah, so the idea is just to skip to the part where the answers show up. So you can have the question like, what is the choice for me to follow? What do I do now to live the life I prefer of more, right? You can have these things like, what is the path to bring me to financial abundance and passion projects simultaneously, right? These are the kind of questions you can ask your inner guidance. And so when you ask an open-ended question, your mind automatically goes looking for answers. And so that's another way that you can feed things into your subconscious that guides you in a direction. And now when you have that kind of question in mind and you start creating the space within, the idea is to now allow the answer to land and receive. So the first part about the foundation is about getting in alignment. And the easiest way to get in alignment is conscious breathing. And now you can also do things like going out in nature, grounding, doing something you love. I love conscious breathing because it's always available. So how's that feeling so far? Do you agree with all that?
Yes.
Okay, so now the next part, we're going to kind of just slide into inner guidance. And the idea is inner guidance is the way information feels, right? So your subconscious, your unconscious, it already has been with you your entire life. It already knows all of your desires, all of your beliefs, all of your experiences, everything you've done, everything you haven't done, right? So this information is there. Now, infinite intelligence is channeling into us in every moment and filters through that. So as this information arises, the sensation within your body is now giving a key, a clue, an indicator of if this information is aligned with you. Does that make sense? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so by slowing down, by just putting awareness on your breath, creating space, you can now receive the download from infinite intelligence. You ask the question, you create the space to hear, and now as the information's there, you notice how the information feels. When the information feels aligned with your unique essence, and that's kind of a bigger conversation, then you know that this information, because it feels like it feels like a yes in your body. It feels like something that you're called and drawn to. Versus you could feel into something that feels like a closing, a constricting. So you can now feel in this moment, inner guidance is a moment to moment thing. In this moment, this information is the answer to this question. Next moment, it might be different. Some other thing could happen. The information can change. So based on right now, the information that's coming through, this is the guidance. So the guidance is really the sensation, not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas. Does that make sense?
Guidance is the information, not the thoughts. Is that what you're saying?
It is the feeling, the
Feeling.
way the thoughts feel, right? So like as I ask you these questions, there's something inside you that feels like yes, right? There's a feeling of yes in your body. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's, something that like do you like driving in traffic?
Not entirely. No.
Yeah. So can you feel the difference between a yes and a no?
Yes.
All right. So the idea now is to become very aware of the way the information feels. So you're like, I want to move toward this path. I want to work less hours. So in this moment is now the time to act in this new way, is now the time to put out that post for the yoga teacher, is now, right? So you can feel in your body, does it feel like the yes? Is it moving me in that direction? And so the information can come from a lot of different sources. It can be something to respond to. It could be someone inviting you to something. It could be something that kind of like inspired to do based on like your type and your design. There's all these different factors to that. So the idea is becoming very familiar with yourself and your own guidance so you can learn what information is for you. You can learn what the yes feels like. So you can learn to move towards it. So does that all make sense? Like, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about this so far?
The sense essentially I need to be listening to the signs that my body's giving me, and I need to just take a break away from doing everything for a little bit to be able to interpret the signs so that I'm not like always moving or always busy. It's what it sounds
Yeah,
like I need to do personally for me. I
yeah,
don't know, it's
yeah,
different for
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. So, like the inner guidance, I break into a seven-part system, and it sounds to me like you're in between asking and listening, asking and hearing, receiving, like putting out the intent and receiving the answer. And so, the skill for you to develop is asking the questions that are relevant and then receiving that impulse, receiving that download, receiving that answer. And then, when you get the answer, to assess the feeling of it and be like, is this information relevant to me? Is this what I want to be doing? It depends on the question that you're asking. And so then you can start discerning, you can start making the nuanced difference between if this information is helpful or not. And over time, you can learn to develop trust, which is the next part in the system, the information. And one of the ways you can do that is by checking, right? When I listen to this and follow through on it, does it move me more towards the life I prefer? Then that's like a vote. Yeah, that's the sensation. That's the feeling I want to move more toward. If I start acting on it and start going away from what I prefer, then that's like, okay, that's not the sensation to listen to. That's the sensation that's telling me to maybe not go in this direction. And so there's this learning which is which, because some people are born very conditioned from what they really desire. And sometimes it's kind of confusing on which one is which. So by literally taking the information and then making action toward it. So part of it is, yeah, get the information. And then part of it is testing the information. And that'll allow you to then clarify and discern what you prefer and how to move toward the life you prefer. And just to remind you, it's as simple as consciously breathing. That's what creates the space for the download.
Okay.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Does that feel like practical skills you can apply?
Yes.
Is there something else coming up that would make this more useful to you, or do you feel complete for now?
Like something else that needs answered before that, or like what?
Yeah,
I
like
guess.
relevant to this. Yeah. Like it's like, are you able to move forward in this, or is there still resistance to it?
I guess there's a little bit of resistance to it, but I
What is it?
just have a couple other things going on in life. Just so I got divorced at the beginning of the year, and I don't know. I've been having talks with the higher self, with God, cosmic consciousness. Don't know what you
Mhm.
call it, but
Yeah.
in one of my moments, I heard a voice because I was wanting to move away from where I currently am, and it told me to wait. And I was asking if
Mhm.
my wife was going to come back, and the voice said to wait. And it told me I needed to wait 15 months, which brings things to January. So I don't know if that's all inclusive of making any big decisions in my life, or if it's just
Yeah.
specifically geared towards like relationships and moving.
Yeah. So let's make this practical. Okay. So first, when I refer to inner guidance, I feel it's only relevant for right now because the next right now can be different. Do you agree?
Yes.
And then there's this idea of like timelines. So it's like with the timeline you were on in that exact moment, if you continue with that exact trajectory, that whole time, you'll eventually get to that destination on that timeline. You agree?
Yes.
Okay, so if you start changing your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, you can change the timeline that you're on. Do you agree?
Yes.
So all predictions are not necessarily about the future. They're based on what you feel now about what you think the future is going to be, not necessarily what the future is. You agree?
Oh,
Do you agree?
hello.
Oh, did you hear
Sorry,
me?
it cut out for a second.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. So yeah, so I'll just repeat briefly. So the idea is your perception of the prediction of the moment is based on how you feel now and what you think the future is going to be from now, not necessarily what the future is when you get there. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So in that moment that you got that answer, great. Now what I recommend is to check in on that again. Like, have I shifted to a different timeline? Is that still the predetermined future I'm guaranteed to experience? Or is it possible that there's a better path? Is it possible I can be in alignment and live out a more preferred path? Is it possible to collapse that timeline
Sorry.
so things can
Okay.
happen faster in a way I prefer? Did you hear me there?
Yep. Yep. I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, so the idea there is to check in again on any prediction that you might receive from your higher self or God or source, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And so anytime you get a prediction that's based on where you were in that moment, and then maybe you elevated your energy, maybe you did that squeeze breath and pumped the energy into your brain, maybe you shifted a whole bunch of limiting beliefs, maybe you started living out your calling, and now the experience you're moving toward is very different. So do you see how that could happen?
Yes.
And so the idea is to any prediction is really where you're heading toward right now. And if you start changing your energy, start changing your subconscious, you could end up somewhere else. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that help melt that resistance, or is there something else
No,
relevant to that?
that definitely helps melt some of the resistance.
Awesome. So the idea
Um,
there is to check in and then have the space for the download over and over again. Do you agree?
yes.
Okay. So anything else on that?
No, no, thank you, Kent.
Awesome. Yeah, my pleasure, Blaine. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So for anyone else on this call, if you want to drop something in the chat of what was helpful about this last segment for you, or if you want to be the next person to jump in, checking in on you guys. Heather, did you still want to jump in next? Okay. Yeah, cool. Jump in. Appreciate the reminder that. Oh yeah, you could just say it out loud if you're jumping in next.
Yeah, I was typing, so I figured I'd just say I appreciate the reminder that the information we get is based on the state that we're in the moment, and that it can shift or change based on how our state evolves. So, yeah, that's a helpful reminder.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And before we go further, anyone else typing in or want to say something that was helpful? Okay, that's fine. I'll just get back to you, Heather. If you're typing in, I'll read it when it shows up. Okay. So, all right, Heather. So, what is the meaningful intent you want to experience, or the resistance that's coming up? How can I help you?
Yeah, I'd love to continue to take inspired action on my desire of creating a soul-aligned business.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you feel would help you the most with that?
Patience.
Hmm.
uh,
What?
reminding or remembering to connect more and to be in the preferred elevated state more
Yeah.
often and to create and make choices from that state.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's your definition of present patience? How do you know you're doing that?
Hmm. The is trusting and knowing that every inspiration will come to me in the right time and that I'll know to take action in the right time. So even though my mind wants to know now and have a completely formulated plan for what is, uh, I can just be patient and know that I'll get the inspiration one step at a time.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So I feel there's like a couple different topics within this. One of this is trust, which is perfect for the inner guidance navigation feed in. The other part is you're talking about to be in the state of being that you receive the answers and that you move toward the soul aligned business, which fits in well with you were saying, the reminder that the future we're accessing is based on how we feel now. So if you're in a state of being that is the representation of the soul aligned business, so whatever those feelings are, but to me, that's like connected, that's like inspired. Well, I'll ask you what it feels to you in a moment. And then from that state of being, you get access to the thoughts and beliefs that correlate to that state of being. So if you consider each state of being its own timeline that starts moving you somewhere, it's really multidimensional, infinite. It's not like linear. So when you're in that state of being and you start getting the ideas, when you're acting on them from the state and downloading them from the state, that's what moves you toward that experience in that life. And so, going by what I'm hearing you saying, patience is, it's remembering to be in the state of being that you prefer to get those insights. Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. And I would add to it that I prefer to be in those states even when circumstances are different than the ideal way to be in those states.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's highlight state of being momentum. And so the idea is I'll just talk about myself. So when I'm in a state of being, and I've been practicing the state of being a lot. So maybe it's something like ease and flow, or maybe it's something like, I don't know, resistance and agitation, like I'm doing a job I don't really like. So if I'm consistently in that, even if I'll start with resistance and agitation. So if I'm in that and I consistently bump into things, even if people are uplifting me, if that's my default, my normal, my baseline, then I kind of just shift back to it, and I might even pull other people into my state. Versus if I'm in more of an ease and flow as a consistent state, and by consistent state, like I was saying before, like days, weeks, months, if I'm more consistent in that state, when I bump into a person or opportunity or experience that feels that way, I'll pull them into my state if I'm the one that's more consistent. So the metaphor I like is kind of like two tornadoes, and the bigger tornado eats the smaller tornado. So it's kind of like when the momentum comes in contact with another momentum, the one that's greater with an unconscious component, right? It happens automatically. The one with the greater momentum consumes the other one. And so the idea there is practice when it's easy. It's to put in the energy stream of what you prefer more and more often so the momentum is there. So then when you get in those experiences, you're the one that consumes the other one instead of the other way around. And then on that note, and yeah, it's not necessarily practical if you have a job and all these things. If your momentum gets fizzled out by the experience you bump into, it's difficult to raise momentum in that way. And so this was now goes into transmutation. And it's the idea of the resistance that's coming up that's knocking you out of alignment, the only reason why it can do that is because there's a wound, a part, a split energy, an activation, a belief within yourself that it can knock you out of alignment. Because as an all-powerful, infinite creator, we can be the kind of person, we can have the kind of experience where we empower and light up everything around us. Do you agree with that? Okay, so the idea there then is if there's something on your trail, like Abraham Hicks talks about, like driving down the road and there's obstacles on the road. If there's obstacles on the road that you bump into consistently, then clear those obstacles off the road so now the momentum can keep growing. And so those are kind of the two pieces. It's like cultivate the momentum on your own, and that's the conscious creation part, or it's remove the obstacles from the path so the momentum can grow more easily. And so that's the transmutation part. And then the trusting part is putting it out there and then noticing what happens. Like Napoleon Hill talks about, like faith, auto-suggestion. If you just keep feeding something into your subconscious enough, it'll start showing up as evidence around you. And that in itself builds trust, right? And then so there's also the idea of, doubt, the opposite of trust, is really trusting in the opposite of what you want. So to gain trust in your inner guidance, to gain trust in the higher self, give it opportunities to show you that it is supporting you. Give it that space, and that will build momentum in the trust as a sensation, direction, so it's easier to believe in it over and over again. And I call those trust points. So it's developing the trust points by participating, and that'll build that. So there's like three different parts here. What would help you the most to have the breakthrough to move forward in your life that we could do now together so you have skills to practice?
I like the idea of seeing evidence in trust points in this upcoming week. So maybe setting the intention to be observing of those. Yeah, so.
Yeah. I love that you brought up intention, because intention is essentially the rudder that points you in the direction that you're going. And so it's like the aiming that you're doing. And then aligning with your inner guidance is now like lining up the crosshairs. And then following the inner guidance is now moving it. So if you have the intention to develop trust, and now you tune into the sensation of trust, that's the conscious creation point. So let me just tell you that when you feel like you trust, like that sensation, like I trust this person, I trust gravity, I trust, the chair I'm sitting on, whatever it is. When you tune into trust, what's the sensation of trust in your body?
It's a relaxing and feeling supported, kind of like knowing my bones stack on each other and my muscles hold them up, and that's how I'm able to stand. So it feels like a relaxation, feels stable, supported.
Yeah. So consider that the energy to cultivate. So it's that relaxation, it's that stable, it's that stacking naturally upon itself. So let that be the energy that you're feeding into the subconscious. A lot of ways you could do that. You could do it by visualizing it. You could do it by feeling it. You could put your awareness in it. You could do it like when you're waking up and when you're falling asleep. So it gets into the subconscious. And as you tune into that for like the week or 2 weeks with the intention of developing more trust, the sensation of trust will grow. The awareness of trust will grow. The opportunities to then develop trust in yourself or whatever, then expand out of that with like the synchronicity momentum timeline. So how does that feel to you?
It feels good. And just by highlighting the sensations of trust, I feel it more in my body. So I'm looking forward to focusing on that this week.
Yeah, awesome. So is that something you feel like you can start participating in now, or is there something else you want to follow up with that?
I feel like I can start participating in that now.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Love to hear your input on it.
Thank you.
Okay, so checking in on you other guys, anyone else? Is there anything you want to comment on of what was helpful about this for you? You can drop in the chat or even just unmute if you want to go next.
I've just unmuted. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
awesome. I can.
Cool. Sorry about any outside noise if you guys feel it.
Don't hear it at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah.
So trust, yeah, absolutely. And I think so, just to say to everybody else, Kent and I did some work, just a little bit ago on the phone on some calls. And I noticed you actually put your hand out during what you were saying to Heather there. And one of the things that you taught to me was this concept of like not chasing, right? But just actually putting your hand out and allowing literally the butterfly to land, right? And so for me, that whole thing around like synchronicities and serendipities has been huge, like in the last couple of months, literally by just putting my hand out to let the butterfly land, right? Um, and this kind of speaks a little bit to, I guess, both a little bit around, what both Blaine and Heather were talking about. But I mean, effectively, I was ending a work contract, I needed a new job. And I kind of found myself efforting, right? That whole idea of like chasing, like chasing the new job kind of thing. And I just went, no, 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 no. Stop efforting and put your hand out and let the butterfly land. And honestly, the moment I did that, right, the very next day I got a phone call from a guy who kind of goes, oh, I've just recommended you to this job, just like call the CEO of this company, right? And what unfolded from that moment forward was like a brand new job, literally with a US based company, and I'm in Australia, 100% remote. I can work from anywhere I choose to, right? They're sending me to the States for a conference. It was just like, and literally what I did was put my hand out. That was as simple as it was, right? As simple as that. And to allow the trust in the trust, yeah, to kind of just know that, by doing that, that I trusted what would actually land. And it was the most beautiful butterfly ever. So anyway, I thought I'd just add that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's really great. Yeah. Now, was that helpful for you? Quick nod. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, both of you. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so what's your intent? Would you like experience? How can I help you? What's coming up for you? Or was that it? Do you not want any other help?
Not right at the moment. I think
Awesome.
for me, yeah, I think just the like the writing, the writing that through. It's just kind of like knowing that the trust, leads to the
Yeah.
synchronicities, serendipities is like it's the cool part of this for now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I
Sure.
found with working with hundreds of people, thousands of sessions, trust is the most core thing that comes up for the most amount of people. Because once we can truly trust and allow the unfolding, which sometimes we refer to as surrender, then it's like letting ourselves get in the river and flow along and like trusting that it takes us where we prefer to go because it is us. It's an extension of us and it's guiding us.
And
Yeah.
for sure, surrender. I reckon that word is so key. Like the surrender part of it is that's, I think, for me, when the resistances do come, it's just kind of like allow the resistance to come, but surrender, to it, as well as to the trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's one of the parts of the inner guidance navigation system. So thank you for sharing. Um, so I do have time for one more speaker to jump in. Would you like to, I don't want to like put you on the spot if you don't want to jump in, but would you like to jump in? Yeah, you. No, you don't have to. Andrea, would you like to join?
Sorry, I was trying to pick my phone. I was trying to unmute it.
Yeah, all good.
Sorry.
Yeah, so would you like your turn in the hot
I'm
seat?
trying to organize my thoughts. So that was the only hesitation. I like everything that everyone said. Number one, thank you for what you're doing. Guiding through this. I like the notes I've been taking. I'm working on personally not feeling so scattered because I tend to like to work on numerous things at once. I read usually like 4 to 6 books at one time. So like, that's kind of how my brain is. So, which can be super overwhelming for most people, but I seem to actually function a little bit better that way. If I don't have kind of enough going on, so to speak, it's almost like I slow down too much and I, can't retain information. It's bizarre.
Sure. Yeah.
So I know that's not for everybody, but at the same time, being aware of that, learning how to say, okay, let's focus on whatever, 3 hours today on this project versus I think I get too scattered. Like I'll be like, okay, I'll do this project. Then I felt like on my to-do list, and I'm very much a task-oriented person. So I'll start feeling stressed when I feel like my to-do list isn't done. And then that starts creating anxiety, right? So I understand how all that works psychologically. So I'm doing my best to be aware of those things and then retraining my brain to slow down with those. But then also with the subconscious, this may sound really, it was actually on a podcast I just learned about retraining your brain. Simple stuff like literally like drinking a glass of water, like every time I'm taking a sip of water or whatever, putting in a positive thought or emotion or seeing myself like on stage speaking, like anything that's positive. So I'm working hard on doing very specific training with my brain throughout the day so that becomes my baseline subconscious.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah, all that makes sense. So I'll like quick recap. One, you feel really scattered and you may prefer to operate that way. And you like having a lot going on at once. And that seems to help you keep your momentum or energy going. You don't like slowing down too much. Then you're also working on filling things into your subconscious. So what would help you the most with this time we have together?
Clarity, I guess, on narrowing things down.
Yeah. So
What's most important.
Ooh, yeah, great. Okay.
Right.
So
And prioritize because I don't want to waste my time. That's what I'm getting stressed about is feeling like not that I'm purposely wasting my time. I'm being active and proactive with things, but I'm like, is this the best use of my time right now?
yeah. Okay. So let's lay out the system, right? So inner guidance, asking a question, is this the best use of my time right now? So that's a great question you could ask in any moment. Okay. Now, to get the clarity, we're just going to kind of go through the whole thing, right? So start by breathing. And as you're consciously breathing, just putting your awareness on your breath, notice how that shifts the energy. You notice it shifting like right now as you put awareness on your breath? Okay. Now notice clarity is a state of being. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So when you're in the state of being of clarity, you have clarity of ideas, of actions, of perceptions. Do you agree? So by putting awareness back into the breath and by letting the state of being of clarity cultivate, you automatically gain access to clear ideas. Do you agree? Okay, now if your intent in your question is this the most effective thing to do now? Is this a great use of my time now? So like in this moment right now, referring to this call, as you're breathing, as you're hitting clarity, ask yourself that question, what's the answer? Let the first, awesome.
Right.
Okay, so when you feel that yes inside you, what does the yes feel like? Like the sensations of it.
It's a calmness. Like it's just a calmness.
Okay, yeah.
It's a high vibration, but a calmness with that.
Yeah. I would actually say calm is a higher vibration than any of the lower emotions in that sense, like vibrational scale sense.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so the sensation of calmness is correlated to your experience of clarity. Do you agree? So when you're feeling calm, you also have access to clarity. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
I've experienced that.
Yeah, awesome. So anytime you're starting to feel too revved up, that is now drifting away from clarity. You agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so anytime you put your awareness back on your breath and you start just letting it naturally slow down on its own, you don't have to push it in any way, then you automatically gain access to calmness and clarity. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And in that space of calmness and clarity, you can ask yourself the question, is this the best use of my time right now? And you'll get a clear answer. You agree?
Yeah.
Now you can also ask yourself, what is the best use of my time right now? Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
What is the thing for me to do now that is the best use of my time now? So what
Yeah,
if
it goes
you,
deeper and deeper.
yeah. So like, what if you first, okay, start breathing. You're not sure. You noticed you're starting to rev up a lot. You know, you're like, okay, I want to put awareness back in my breath. I want that calm clarity. Okay, then you're in the calm clarity. You're like, okay, is this still the best use of my time right now? You'll get a clear answer. And then you can like, what is a better use of my time right now? And maybe instead of better use, you could be more specific. To help me move toward the dream life I desire and dream of and live the life of passionate purpose, what is the best use of my time right now? And then as you do that, what answer shows up?
Right.
What is showing up for you?
Well, right now I'm focused on what we're doing and talking
Yeah.
about. So
Yeah. So I want
like
to say
my
now,
focus is learning what we're
Yeah. So in that sense, then this conversation is the best use of your time right now. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So you see the simplicity of it. And so the idea is then like, do you trust that this answer that drops in is always going to be there for you if you connect in and listen to it?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so do you actually trust that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then since you trust it, since you can access it, since you can ask it, which guides it, will you do what it tells you to do? Which in this case, yeah, listen to this call. Yeah. And then after this call, you'll have another opportunity to ask the question again. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And that'll give you the next thing to move toward. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, then the next part of the inner guidance system is the surrender allowing part. And as you're doing it, can you just acknowledge? Can you surrender? It's like, it's like medicine journey surrender. It's just like, let it happen. Can you surrender that the thing that you're doing right now really is the best thing to do?
Yeah.
Okay, now that's the system. So then the next part is then automating it, participating in this over and over and over and over until it becomes unconscious excellence. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And do you agree that participating in this way does answer your question and guide you toward the answer of your question?
Yes.
Okay, so then what do you start feeding into your subconscious? Well, you can even ask that. What's the best thing to feed into my subconscious to give me the life I desire and dream of the most? And then you can get that answer and start feeding it in. You agree?
Yeah.
And then that's the conscious creation component. So as you start feeding what you really desire in, you'll start navigating toward it automatically. You agree?
Mm-hmm.
Do
That's
you agree
slow.
that's a very efficient use of your time?
Yeah.
Okay. And then as you're doing that, the idea of collapsing timeline is that both, yes, high energy, you want to balance it with non-resistance. You want to balance it with
Right.
maximum allowing. Because if you have a high energy but a lot of resistance, you don't actually go as fast as a low energy with no resistance. Do you agree?
Yeah. David
Right?
Bayer too talks about this.
Yeah, awesome. So the idea, their best case would be high energy and no resistance, and that would propel you quickly.
Right.
But high energy and a lot of resistance is not as effective. You agree?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that resistance you can offer up to transmutation, a lot of different ways of doing that. I know you're already a belief master, so you can make space that way. Right? And then that's essentially how the system comes together. And this is how you can now gain access to your subconscious to help you move toward the life you prefer the most by asking questions that are directly relevant to that, and then letting the space land, and then letting yourself take the action. And the actions you take is very much correlated to the personality you allow yourself to embody. And that's how that weaves together.
Mm-hmm.
And I call
Just as
that.
a Aside that might help someone else that I've started learning and retraining myself too with is when you feel the resistance, like lean into that because there's a reason for it. Because if you, what I learned is if I didn't lean into it, then I had it longer and then I wouldn't do the next thing I needed to do as quickly as when I leaned into the resistance and figured out, oh, I'm resisting this because whatever it may be, I'm fearful or I'm worried I'm going to get judged, whatever it may be in someone's head, right? All these different belief systems. So, kind of retraining yourself that way. I just thought that might be helpful if someone like, don't be scared of the resistance either. Like trying,
Oh yeah,
like, right. Like you don't want it, but you also want to overcome it in a graceful manner.
yeah. I want to just kind of put some more context or my perspective around that. So the idea is when I come into resistance, this is an opportunity to ask the inner guidance in the moment, is this resistance to lean into right now or come back to later, right? You can add this
Okay.
layer of nuance to it. Because I
Okay.
find sometimes if I got a strong momentum going in one direction and there's a resistance here, it might be easier to just flow around it for now and keep that strong momentum going.
Gotcha.
Right. And then there's other times when it's like stopper, I hit the rock. Okay, yeah, now's the opportunity to melt down that resistance because that's going to help me move forward. Like in the case of every time I go, like I got this job, I go to this place, every time I go there, I bump into resistance from these people. That's a resistance that's great to melt down, especially in the moment when it's active. So it doesn't keep showing up over and over again.
Right.
So I feel like there's a lot of nuance to it. And so, like you're saying, maybe there's a fear to taking on resistance. I would actually say that that's another thing to melt down. Fear of resistance is its own kind of resistance in that sense. Because in a sense, everything could be objectively neutral. Like, okay, I feel this way when I get in this experience. That could just be objectively neutral. And so there's a lot of nuance to, is now the time to take that on or not? And that applies to, yeah, resistance, but it also applies to, yeah, my passion project, or yeah, is it time to take a nap? Or is it time to jump from this career to that career? Is now the moment I'm putting my 2 weeks notice? Or is now the time I'm just gonna relax and rejuvenate and rest and take care of myself because I've already done a lot of hard work and I don't really have a lot of gas in my tank right now. So each one is another nuanced situation. That's where I keep coming back to download the divine plan from infinite intelligence on the moment to moment basis. Because from my perspective, no matter what the analytical mind is thinking, and it's weighing pros and cons, comparing past and future imagined and remembered scenarios, the infinite intelligence already has that multidimensional 5D perspective, knows where you want to go, and can give you the shortcut. Do you agree?
Gotcha.
Like, if you do want to spend the time digging up all the resistance, you could spend an entire lifetime just slopping through resistance when it might be easier to take the flowing path.
Sure. I just mean if it's something very specific in one of my downloads.
Oh yeah,
Then
absolutely. And that's what
I just mean like to not ignore it all the time. Like there's
yeah.
times I'm like, oh, I should process this, and then it made it easier, and the resistance went away almost immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
And
I meant.
I find in a lot of situations that really is the most effective path. Like the idea of, and I was showing it to you before, but you like connect into super consciousness, you bring the awareness into your breath, you connect into like the higher power, you let that energy move, can melt down that resistance pretty much instantaneously in a lot of situations. And then you might even notice that that inner obstacle isn't there anymore and it's easier to move forward. Or yeah, limiting beliefs. It's so often as simple as, bringing that counter perspective is, oh, I really am an all-powered being. I really can influence this with my thoughts. I really can overcome this. I'm not the little child that was held back anymore. And that might be enough to have that breakthrough to keep going. Or maybe there is that energy wound in the heart, and it really is just putting your hands on your heart and breathing and loving and talking to your inner child and hugging yourself. And that's the big breakthrough. So sometimes it is that easy to have the quick shift that shifts things and moves things along. So that's where I recommend the opportunity of checking in and feeling into what gives you more life force. What is the direction that propels you forward more? Just like the water flowing down the stream, sometimes it goes around the rocks, sometimes it goes over the rocks, sometimes it floods everywhere. So there's a lot of variation to what can happen when we're flowing. Yeah. So how's that landing for you? How's that feel?
Good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So is there something else we can expand to make this more practical and useful for you, or is this feeling good?
I think that's good for right now.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So, summing it all up, right? So we got the system of you, and the system of you is essentially the foundation, which is alignment, connection, baseline boosting. Then you move into inner guidance, which is about identifying it, hearing it, asking it. Asking goes before hearing, trusting it, acting on it, surrendering to it, mastering it, automating it. Then you're going into the transmutation when that resistance comes up to bring in that counter belief, to heal that energy body wound, that samskara, to sort out the split energy, to bring in the information or the connection, the consciousness that can assist and expand and transform it. So we have that free flowing experience because it really is taking that resistance and turning it into the fuel that propels us forward again. So all of the resistance is something that is out of alignment. As we shift it into alignment, it's easier to flow. Then that moves into the conscious creation component, which is about making the intention and the deep decision at the depths of your being and filling in your subconscious, your dominant vibration, the dominant thoughts, focus, and emotions that then become the reality around us, and collapsing that timeline with the high energy and non-resistance and being the personality and ideally the unique essence, the unique ability personality. So you are that passionate, talented, energized, improving person who excels beyond everyone and experiencing miracles in your life, and downloading the divine plan over and over and over again, and learning the strategies that work and applying them in your life, taking that physical action in a way that moves us forward. And if there's any resistance that comes up, you feed it back into the transmutative process. You come back to alignment, to have access to the clarity. And this is the process that we go through over and over again. These are the skills that we develop. And each of these can be broken into finer and finer and finer and more nuanced aspects and skills that can then be acted on over and over again. So we can then master the mastery of participating in that devoted, passionate, skillful life and downloading the the best approach to do it that's unique for each and every individual based on the way they're designed, based on their experiences and what's in their energy field and all that. And so over the years of teaching this, many years of teaching this stuff, I have found the key is really practicing the skills, and it's really about being in the immersion. And I find it so much easier when I have that, teacher, mentor, facilitator that's helping out. And I find it so much easier when there is a community and we're practicing together. And so much, like some of the times I excelled the most in life is like when I was a karate teacher or a karate student and I had the community of people I was interacting with and we're practicing the skills together, or I did that again as a yoga teacher or any other times in my life. And so in these moments and in these opportunities, that's what I found when I have the community and the teacher, that it was the easiest to continue to expel, especially when we all have overlapping beliefs, desires, drives, and skills. And so ultimately for me, one of my favorite things to aim this whole thing for is living that life we desire and dream of as a natural byproduct of who we are, to have that passionate purpose, prosperity project with people we prefer who power us up, and to live life this way by feeding that into the core intent. So it's what overflows into our life. And so, for the next 6 weeks, I'll be having more of these calls. And if you want to participate in them, to register and jump in, there'll be limited capacity. And I'd love to have you guys join in on that as well. So yeah, like now's another opportunity. If you guys want to drop anything in the chat or make a comment of what was most helpful or useful or insightful about this call, now's your chance. And Blaine, if you're still listening and driving, you can just jump in and say something if you want, if you're able to. I don't know what you're doing.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If you're doing the 6-week program, is it on every Sunday?
Yeah. My
Don't
current
have that
schedule
yet.
for yeah. Okay, that's fine. And the way I'm going forward with it, it's not going to be a requirement to do all 6. You can jump into the ones that are available.
Okay.
So yeah. If you have any more questions, you can ask me after DM, whatever. We can go back and forth on it. And I see in the chat here, all so great. Thanks, Kent. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for joining. And I guess that will be summing it up at the moment. Is anyone else writing anything down? If you are, now's your chance. Or maybe just unmute and say something. Yeah, so thank you all for joining. Thank you. This is my all-time favorite thing to do with my life, to share and to have you guys join me on this journey and to practice the skills together. Have a beautiful day. Thanks. Yeah, thank you for joining. And see you all, guys. See all you guys next time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Kent. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.